Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to contribute to the motion on youth and democracy in Kenya. First of all, I have the privilege of being the youth senator in Kenya. So I think I am rightfully placed to be sought after as far as these matters and questions are concerned, because I will give you my very raw experience. Mr. Speaker, I'm a proud mentee of the father of democracy in this country, His Excellency Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We pride ourselves as young people in Kenya, being supporters of Raila Odinga, in the fact that we owe this great man a lot of credit for the kind of democracy Kenyans enjoy compared to all other African countries, majority of them, I must say. And I want to encourage my fellow youth that as much as we face so many challenges, that we should not give up. Rather, we must fashion ourselves to quit the victim mentality and start acting and believing and behaving like we're winners. Mr. Speaker, they normally say that if indeed you're not in the menu, on the table, you are in the menu. Probably this explains why most of us are always crying or being segregated. Because when we are called for public participation, a lot of times in those county halls back in our counties, we find that it's the old people who seem to understand about what they demand of their country more than us, the young people. Case study is what happened with the recent Gen Z protest in Kenya. It was quite successful, but it would have been more successful. It would have birthed a revolution to set things straight and in order in this country. But what happened? It was hijacked by criminals. And suddenly, my fellow youth were looking like pawns. And that was, I think, hugely to blame on the fact that there was very little strategy. But assuming the Gen Zs had a private meeting with the Kenya young parliamentarians, whom each of them is very passionate in this country, and we decided we are going to set this country together, trust me, we would have been the ones telling you which corners to actually hit in the parliament. Well, at least I would have. Even though I was later blamed to have been the one leading the Gen Zs within parliament. But nonetheless, I have had the privilege of traversing the African continent on so many other hats that I wear. As a Miss Commonwealth Kenya, as a Global Peace Ambassador, as a Goodwill and Culture and Charity Ambassador for the Commonwealth, and even recently in the Senate, as a member of the International Conference, Forum of Parliaments of the International Conference on Great Lakes Region. And I had the honor of visiting one of the largest refugee camps in a place called Nakivale in Western Uganda. And it really broke my heart to see that indeed lack of democracy is very expensive to our African countries. And that the direct victims or beneficiaries of the consequences of war, and I quote beneficiaries, which I say sarcastically, are usually the women, youth, and children. I am talking of about 8 million people within the Nakivale refugee camp, displaced from every country. Sorry, I beg your pardon. 8 million in different refugee camps within Nakivale, displaced from other countries. And I'm proud of Kenya because not only did we repatriate and bring back our refugees who are 22 in number back into our country and pride in Kenya, being a leading democracy where you see citizens criticizing the president, calling him names like Kasongo and there's nothing he can do because these are people demanding for their rights. These are people who are coming out to speak truth to power. And even worse, even better enough, we are hosting refugees from Dadaab camp, giving them a safe haven, despite our internal wrangles. And no matter what happens on our streets when we have a revolution or demonstrations, somehow, the wonderful citizens of Kenya always have a way of coming back to put things in order and get back to business. And if it doesn't work, we go back to the streets because we know the true value of democracy. It is important that my fellow young people, you take part in politics and political processes. I'm very proud, not only of the honorable members who are in this room today, but also of each young person, as first of all, as an individual citizen, and second of all, as a leader in whatever capacity you're serving, that you took your time. You're a young person, you should have been in some beach somewhere swimming in a bikini, or, playing cricket or something, but you chose to be here today to discuss about our country and the future of our continent and globe instead of being elsewhere. The reason I say this is that I'm proud that, Mr. Speaker, we were together when we were trying to get into leadership. I had the privilege of working with Ken Babu, our clerk, and my sister Angel Mbudia, and they know how we started. When we were young people doing Youth for Youth Kenya in the last election in 2022, they thought we were jokers. These young people. They were calling us names like little lamps that were running. I remember, I think the Honorable Speaker was also vying that time. As in one of the constituencies in Trans Nzoia, Mugirango. And thank you, Clark, although that's out of order. So, and they can tell you for free, it was a struggle. Because when it came to resource allocations by political party, the young people were the last to be considered. And all we had to do is rely on foreign organization or other donors to come in and complement the little resources we were raising from our own individual fundraisers.
Honorable Member, I donate 1 more minute of the Assembly's time to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm well guided. And so, what am I saying basically? If you see somebody like me from a marginalized community coming out, you all saw what I did in the 2022 elections. I knew it was up to me to change what the system has been like. And for the first time, a young girl came out of a pageant world where you consider us to be blondies who are just smiling, to come into these murky waters and wrestle with the men. This is what we must each do. Disrupt the systems. And you can't do that from outside. I'm sorry to say, you can only do this from within. So while we seek support to strengthen democracy, let us be the champions and the torches that go back to our villages and rally for support for more youth leadership in our country. Support the Kenya young parliamentarians. Because trust me, we are only charting a path for you. The doors we are opening will be for you. Because we have suffered the consequences and the brunt of not being empowered by our predecessors, and we decided as KYPA, we are going to change the systems. We will not be afraid of bringing you guys on the table for us to be discussing issues, so that once we are out of this office or we have been elevated by the grace of God and the people of Kenya to other powerful positions or bigger seats, we will leave these paths and seats open for you. Because we are not afraid as KYPA to tell you that the sun shines on everybody. And when we light your candles, we are only making more light. Thank you so much.